Hello, YouTube fam. How y'all doing? It's your Uncle Tim. This is Uncle Tim Rants and Reviews, a channel that I run and I review. I'm your host, Uncle Tim, fam. You know what? Man, how y'all doing? How y'all feeling? I want to thank you to all the people that donate to the channel, support the channel, show love to the channel. I want to say thank you to Sanchi. I want to say thank you to Tracy. I'm giving you your flowers. I'm giving you love because I'm saying thank you. I really appreciate it. Comes from the bottom of my heart. I enjoy showing the stuff, and I'm trying to display stuff, but I'm limited in space. So don't think that I'm not appreciative. It's just I'm limited in space. I'm trying to figure what to take down and move around. But with that being said, a lot of people been asking me, man, what's going on with Ross and Didi's, bro? What's going on with these damn prices? What's going on with empty shelves, bro? I said it before. Ross Didi's, they are good at Easter and Christmas. Christmas being the biggest one. They're good at Christmas. Second is Easter. But during the rest of the year, if you find stuff, man, just count it as a blessing, man. Because, man, we have visited people in the Midwest from Iowa, Michigan, Wisconsin, Indiana, what's the other one? Minnesota. All those places, nothing. I mean, nothing. And is that all right? Yeah. Places are allowed not to have any stock, man. It's just what it is right now. You could only liquidate what people are willing to liquidate. You're only able to buy what other companies or stores are willing to liquidate, man. The great, comeback of 2023 for collectors, man, sparked just everything in people because people seen it as a sign that collecting didn't die. It had come back. It was the golden era again. Just finding stuff, man. It wasn't like the prices, every price was the right price, but the prices were okay. You sitting here thinking they're talking about raising toys as far as Marvel Legends, DC Multiverse. And like I said, McFarlane had held out for so long, bro. But, come on. With his licensing agreement about to be over in 2026, which Mattel has basically, basically captured. Dude, I'm going to say it just like this. McFarlane is the GOAT. I know a lot of y'all don't like his stuff. I know a lot of y'all say, man, no, I'm sticking with my Marvel Legends and, this and that and, my Motu stuff. I get it. But the thing that I look at, and I want you all to understand, Mattel is about to do something. I don't know what they're about to do. I don't know what size the figures will be. We got 7-inch figures now. So we had 7-inch figures for some years now. Think about that. Some of us have hundreds of figures. Some of us have way more than that. And, you get figures that are a lower size, now you got to start all over again. This is the thing that I'm thinking about, man. I've been enjoying collecting for a long time, man. This stuff wasn't bought overnight. It was accumulated over a period of time. I accumulate pieces at a time, man. And, this is how my collection grows. Sometimes when you see pickup videos, people say it looks all sporadic. It looks all over the place. But if you notice, I collect all those toy lines that you see. And, if you find a piece for that toy line, you're like, man, I'm going to pick this up. Like I got one more piece for it. You find some Star Wars stuff. I collect Star Wars stuff. You find 3 or 4 Star Wars figures for $5 a piece, man. Like $5.99, $6. You like, man, that ain't bad considering, hell, Star Wars figures damn near $30. And you trying to figure why. Some of them not even worth the price that they're trying to sell them for. Just being honest. The material they made out of, it's more, I don't know, it's looking more and more cartoonish and not the way it was at first. Just keeping it real. I jump right there, something fell. But, man, just keeping it 100, man. I've been looking at a lot of these toy lines, man, and just trying to understand, how do they stay afloat? I know a lot of y'all been saying G.I. Joe been dropping stuff, Marvel Legends been dropping stuff. You know who I thought should have got the Power Rangers? McFarlane. I said it plenty of times. And I said, people said, I don't want them to have, I don't want 7-inch Power Rangers. Dude, I want somebody that can give me some good Power Rangers. Then on top of that, somebody that could give me Power Rangers that I could have a gold label, I could have a platinum, a red platinum. Dude, why not? It's like we fighting not to get anything. Oh man, but it'll mess up all the rest of the ones I got. Why? Dude, when you ain't getting anything, people upset. My thing is, it's like somebody saying, man, I'm used to making money. And, get a job at McDonald's and be like, man, I ain't gonna work that job, man. That's beneath me. That ain't no money. Some money better than no money. You get what I mean? No money, that's zero. Some money, $5 is better than zero. $20 better than zero. Shit, $1 is better than zero, bro. I'm just being realistic here. Your toy lines and all that stuff that you collect, man, represents you. It represents what goes on in here. I'm a very eclectic type of person. I collect a lot of stuff, man, and I enjoy it, man. Sometimes I lose momentum on certain things, man. Sometimes certain things, man, they stop selling it right. You ain't getting it. All of a sudden, the line is, being remodeled or retooled or something. And you like, man, they ain't put out a toy in like 3 months. You like, all right, I'm good with that. Toy lines should be dropping figures each month, like McFarlane do. It keeps you excited. It keeps you interested. Even if you don't buy all the figures, you don't supposed to buy all the figures. You buy the figures that you are interested in. And this is what makes this better. This is what makes Red Now a little better. A lot of the companies have learned their lessons. From the past, back in the 80s, the good old days, where how they used to, just make so many toys, man, and shit don't sell and it's just sitting somewhere in the back room. They ain't doing that no more. They create just so much that they create hype. And, you be out there ready to buy it, man. It's just real. I think a lot of times we don't focus on the things that we need to focus on, and sometimes we get caught up. Just keeping it a bean, man. I just want to be honest with a lot of you all, man. Collecting is a up to you thing. What I mean by that is, if you don't want the pieces, you don't have to buy. I bought some knockoff Transformer Constructicons. I have a Green Devastator that I bought a long time ago. I think back in 2015, I think. That got to be right. About 2015, 2014. Dude, I got a big Bruticus. Bruticus. And I got Predaking, the Aerial Bots, the Protecto Bots. I was looking at some of those knockoff Transformers they got at Five Below. Look like they got Bruticus. And I'm looking at that, man. And I'm telling you, if you can, look at some of these packaging. I know these are not authentic, but I'm going to tell you something. You could always put Transformer pieces on them. The symbols and all of that. For certain things that is hard to find and you see a knockoff version of. Dude, I can't tell you how many times I was at the flea market over the course of years, man. I seen knockoff combiner Transformers, man, and I used to pick them up. They were like $5, $6. Dude, I picked so many up. I just don't got them anymore. Dude, things happen and life happens and fires happen and floods happen and shit. Things happen. But what I'm trying to push here is like, just buying stuff, man. Just enjoy it. It don't have to be what everybody else is buying. It could be Dollar Tree stuff. It could be, Final Faction. It could be some of everything, man. I'm just trying to tell you, collect what you like. Do what you like. Hell, if you like creating dioramas, create some. If you want to send me some art to the channel, some art that you drew, my P.O. Box number is inside the description of the channel. All you got to do is look in there and it'll show you. Man, but my biggest thing is, man, and I want to say it over and over again each time, that it's a pleasure having you to come here. We get to talk, chop it up. You know, keep this in mind. The actual community, what we call, the toy community, it's changed, man. It's not the same type of community. It's different. I'm not talking about bad right now. I'm just saying it's different right now. There are a lot of people with a different set of pockets. You got people with pockets that range, from one thing to another. And that's the beauty of all that, man. You got to actually enjoy what you got. I enjoy what I got, and I enjoy the new stuff that I get. Just because I get new stuff don't mean I don't enjoy the old stuff, man. It's like getting a new pair of shoes, and people are like, oh, you just gave up on the last pair of shoes. No, I want to wear the new shoes. It ain't nothing wrong with the old ones. I just want to wear the new ones. You get what I'm saying? It's nothing wrong with the old toys, man. You play with them for a while. You move them around. You pose them. You put them on the shelves. You take them off the shelves. You put new ones on. Dude, that's just what we do as collectors, man. We auto-tune stuff, man. We fine-tune stuff. We get it the way we want it. And that's what I see my collection. It grows. I unbox stuff. I put stuff up. Then it grows again. You find pieces, like those, the new Batman Adventure stuff, man. Like I said, man, I got 3 of them for the price of 1, man. I was so happy with that, man. It just made me feel real good. Then I found the Cheetos Jada toy and the Frosted Flakes Jada toy. Dude, it really made me feel good just to be able to find stuff. Even though I got both of those off of eBay. I went to eBay to find those, man. I'm good after that. I'm like, man, unless they come out, I just want the blueberry one. And I'm taking my time on that one, trying to see if I can find it for a reasonable price, in the box, So that's the thing that I'm looking at, man. Collecting these toys, man, it's a job in itself sometimes, man. That's why I cut eBay out. My wife had me to cut eBay out. And I started realizing I had more income because I was spending a lot on eBay, man. And I was showing a lot. And, then I just said, man, I don't want to do, she said, man, cut eBay out. And, I was able to pay off my credit cards. It's funny how that works, ain't it? Cut out one damn thing and it's just everything is good now. I still have issues, bro, like every damn body else. But you know what? I'm smiling. One thing that I said to you on that last video, storms don't last forever. Storms do not last forever. But they last for the time that they're supposed to last. You get it? They last for that period of time they're supposed to last for. And, we go from there. Like I said, each and every time, man, life is a constant lesson, man. Life is going to continue to life. It's not going to sit there and be like, man, ain't going to be life right now. What you gonna do, man? I'm gonna cut life out right now and I'm gonna be something else right now. No. See, that's the beauty of everything, man. Just enjoying, the process. Enjoying what's going on, man. Like I said, there's so many things that I want to, invest in right now as far as toy lines and just everything, gold and silver. But the prices on that is just too crazy. I was looking at the stock market. But, honestly, you got to be very careful. People's like, go slow. And, you can buy stocks, at this time, at that time. But you got to be careful of those brokerage fees, man. Those fees that, when you buy the stock and you're using a broker or something, man, they charge you for this stuff. So you got to be very careful. Know what you're doing. There's ways to get in it yourself, but just know what you're doing. Man. It's telling a young kid about the stock market, right? And I said, man, you can make a lot of money or you can lose a lot of money. He said, no, I'm just going to keep my money in my pocket. But to later, fair, peace out.